Hello, wonderful math class. Going to kick off today with a whole new branch of math that we have never talked about in school before. Not this year, not last year, not when you were in elementary school, not ever. It's called probability. And like I said, it's a whole new branch, whole new type of math, whole new way to think about numbers and quantities. So, you know how I like everything to be easy to find in your notebook. So what I want you to do, since this is a new topic, like a whole new unit, let's say. If you're writing in your math notebook, I like a new topic to get like its own like cover page, right? So open to your next page and you can kind of give it a big ol' like take up the whole page probability. And I don't know, you can decorate it, you can draw pictures or whatever you want. Oh, sorry, it's kind of dark where I am. And just give it like a whole page to itself, probability. And then that we're going to do three big ideas on probability. Each will take a few lessons. The first big idea is this. What is probability and how do we express it? So I want that to get a page too, so everything's easy to find. So then turn to your next page or the back of that page and do like big idea number one. What is probability and how do we express it? I will go back to the slide so you can see it. Go ahead and pause here and make those two pages. So your first header for the whole unit, and then your header for the first big idea, and then stop there and I'll give you a chance to write down today's lesson topic on the third page when you have time. So go ahead and pause now and take care of that. All right, so go ahead and close your notebook for now. And again, I'll give you your chance to write today's title when you get there. Right now, I just want you to think about a few things I'm going to propose to you. So let's start here. What's the difference between these two words? Pause here, think about these two words. What's the difference? Right, something impossible can't happen. There's no chance that it will happen. Something unlikely probably won't happen, but it's possible. It's not impossible, it's just not very likely. What about these words? Similar, right? We're kind of on the other end here. Certain means will definitely, absolutely, certainly happen. Likely means it'll probably happen, but it's not for sure. What about these? Likely and unlikely. You know, likely means not for sure, but possible. And unlikely means not impossible, but probably not. So these are kind of opposite words, right? Likely means it'll probably happen, unlikely means it probably won't, but neither one's a sure thing. What about if I add this one in? Equally likely as not. Put all three of those together. What does that mean? Equally likely as not kind of means 50-50. Like if you flip a coin, will you get heads or tails? Equally likely as not that you'll get heads. Or if you pick a number, equally likely as not, it will be odd. So likely is kind of like probably, unlikely is probably not, equally likely as not is kind of like right in the middle, equally possible or not to happen. So we've looked at all those words. Think through some things now for me, some events. I want you to pick one of these five words: impossible, unlikely, equally likely as not, likely, or certain for some events. You can pause after each one, think about it, decide, and then unpause. How about you'll win a grand prize in a raffle if you purchase two out of the 100 tickets? Will they draw yours? I'd pick unlikely for this. Not quite impossible, but it's not a great possibility that you're going to win. You only have two out of the 100. The other 98 are certainly more probable, more likely to get picked, but you could. It's not impossible. What about this? You get an even number when you roll this number cube. Well, think about what's on there, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6 possibilities. 2, 4, and 6 are all even. So that's 3 out of the 6 possibilities are even. 3 out of the 6 possibilities are odd. So for this one, I'd probably pick equally likely as not. You have kind of a 50-50 chance, as we would say, to get an even number. What about this? Everyone will be on time to school tomorrow. Kind of depends on your class on this one. For mine, I would say unlikely, but not impossible. Everyone, it's not a lot of days we have every single person there on time, but it's not impossible, but I wouldn't say it's likely. About this one. This one may depend on where you live and what time of year it is. I live in Georgia, so it's unlikely to snow ever. I'm recording this in July, so it's really unlikely. I might even be okay saying it's impossible that it'll snow tomorrow in Georgia in July. Feels kind of hard to say like impossible. Is it really like totally, completely impossible? That's what that word means. But it's certainly really, really, really unlikely. About this. Again, kind of depends on where you live and when it is. I live in Georgia. Rains a lot in the summer in Georgia, and it's July, like I said. So where I live, probably equally likely as not. But the best thing to do would be to check the weather, right? And they'll show me how likely it is to rain tomorrow. Let me do that. Hang on one sec. I'm going to pause and then open the weather. So here we go. So tomorrow is Sunday, where I am right now. So it's a 40% chance of rain tomorrow. So I guess technically that's unlikely. 50% would be equally likely as not. So I guess 40% is more likely that it won't rain than it will. And it looks like about the same every day this week. So I'm going to call that unlikely. Certainly where I live now, but that one we can even look up. It'll be Thursday tomorrow. Well, this is either certain or impossible, depending on when you're watching this. Right now, I'm recording this on a Sunday or a Saturday, so it's impossible that it will be Thursday tomorrow. I'm going to show this to my class on Wednesday, so when they see it, if they see it that day, it will certainly be Thursday tomorrow. What about this? I'll land on green when I spin this spinner. Looks to me like half the spinner is green and half the spinner is not, so I would probably rate this equally likely as not. It looks like it's half green, so to me that sounds like I have a 50-50 chance. What about blue? Well, that's unlikely, but not impossible. What about red? Now we're kind of to impossible territory. Impossible means it literally can't happen. What about I will land on blue, yellow, or green? That's when we get to certain. That's what it has to be, one of those three. Okay. So why don't we go to your notebook now, open it up, and here's what I want to teach you today. Here's today's topic. Today I want to teach you to evaluate and compare the likelihood of different events. That's what we've been talking about through all these scenarios I ran by you to kind of get your mind on this new idea of likelihood. How likely is something? So let's make that the title of today's page in your math notebook. Once you've written that down, please close your math notebook and pause and let me go through an I do, and then you'll write down on we do. All right, so I'm going to do two examples here. So this is going to be my first one here, rolling a die. So I'm going to rate all these events I put on the screen as impossible, unlikely, equally likely as not, likely, or certain. These are the 5 words we use to describe likelihood in a verbal form. So let's start with rolling an odd number. We kind of talked about this one. There are 6 numbers on this die, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 3 of those numbers are odd, 1, 3, and 5. 3 of those numbers are even, 2, 4, and 6. So that sounds like even chances to me. There's 6 possibilities, 3 are odd, 3 are even. I'm going to slide that one up to equally likely as not, is how I would rate that. What about rolling a 6? Well, that's not terribly likely. There's 6 possibilities, and getting a 6 is only 1 out of 6 possibilities. It's possible. I wouldn't say it's impossible, but it's not likely. I don't like my odds very much. So I'm going to roll that one up to unlikely. Probably won't happen, but it could. Definitely could. What about rolling a whole number? Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, those are all whole numbers. None of those have a decimal or a fraction with them. So that is certain. All the numbers I could possibly roll, all are whole numbers there. So I'm going to roll that one up to certain and move this one out of the way. 2 left. What about rolling a negative number? Well, there aren't any negative numbers on it. All 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, those are all positive. No way I'm going to roll a negative number. I'm going to slide that one up to impossible. Possible means actually impossible. Cannot happen. Last one, rolling a 2 or higher. Well, that's 5 out of the 6 possibilities. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 all would be a 2 or higher. So there's a pretty good chance I'm going to do that. It's not certain. I could get a 1, but it is likely. So I'm going to slide that one up to likely. That's how we evaluate the likelihood of certain events. In addition to that, I want you to think about comparing likelihood like this. What's more likely? Rolling a 1 or rolling an even number? Well, in this case, rolling an even number would be more likely because there are 3 of those. 2, 4, and 6 are all even numbers. Rolling a 1, there's only 1 possibility. So rolling an even number is much more likely because there's 3 instead of 1 possibility. What is more likely, rolling a 1 or rolling a 0? Well, neither one is very likely. You know, rolling a 1 is only 1 out of 6 possibilities, but rolling a 0, that's 0 out of 6 possibilities. That is definitely not going to happen. Rolling a 1 or rolling a 2? Well, each of those is 1 out of 6 possibilities. They kind of match. I have a 1 out of 6 chance of getting a 1, and I have a 1 out of 6 chance of getting a 2. So that's kind of a way to compare how likely events are. This is more likely, this is more likely. These are evenly likely. All right, open your math notebook. I may have to go kind of quick here, so be ready. Pause here. I know this is a lot to write down. Copy this down so that you are ready to have good notes and a good example to look back at later, and then unpause when you're ready to hear me talk you through. Okay, I'm gonna have to go quick because like I said, I'm short on time. So landing on yellow, so that is like 1/4 of the circle is yellow. So there's a chance of it, but it's more likely that I'm gonna get blue or green. That's 3/4 of the circle. So I'm gonna rate that one as unlikely. What about landing on green? Well, in this case, green's exactly half of the circle. So I have a 50% chance of getting green, 50% chance of getting something else. I'm going to rate that as equally likely as not. Sorry for the rush. Not landing on orange. Well, I can't land on orange. So when I spin this thing, I would say it's pretty well certain that I'm not going to get orange. So I'm going to move it to certain because there's no orange on there. That's a certain event. I will definitely not land on orange. What about landing on blue or green? That's a lot of possibility, right? That's 3/4 of the circle. So that's very likely. It's not certain. I could land on yellow, but I'm definitely more likely to get blue or green. Last but not least, landing on pink. Sure, you got this one. Impossible. So that's how we rate the likelihood of events on the spinner. Real fast before I run out of time, let's do some which is more likely. Pause here and copy these down as well, and you'll probably have no trouble rating these two. All right, what's more likely? Landing on green, landing on blue. I would say landing on green in this case. There's more green on there, so it's more likely. Neither one is certain, but green much more likely. What about landing on red or landing on yellow? Well, landing on yellow is not super likely, but landing on red's impossible. So even though yellow is not very likely, it's certainly more likely than landing on red. Last but not least, landing on green or landing on either yellow or blue. Tricky wording there. So landing on green is half my chance. Landing on either yellow or blue, that's like a combined possibility. That's also half of my possibilities. So those are equally likely. They both have a 50-50 chance. So I'm going to just highlight both and make them even. Y'all, that is how we evaluate and compare the likelihood of different events. Hope this made a ton of sense to you, and I hope you have a great example to look back on in the future. If not, give this video another go, and I have a feeling a second chance will have you feeling all ready, and I'll see you back tomorrow.